Hey guys, Aquatic Bob's here. Tonight I just want to talk a little bit about what's the best part of owning a reef tank for me. What do I get the most out of it? And I also want to share a little bit with you how you can enjoy and appreciate your own reef tank as well. Okay, you guys, this is a small clip from a DJI Mini 2 drone that I just bought. It's in Duluth, Minnesota, where I live. And this is actually right above my house. I took it off, flew it way up. Got some really cool features on this drone. Pretty expensive, but I really like photography and making videos, as you can see a little bit. But yeah, so this is Duluth, the furthest west tip. If you're looking at a map, all the way to the left of Lake Superior, and this is the harbor. The river comes into the harbor, and then you can see the lake far out in the distance there. Really big lake. Very pretty though. All right, here we go. This reef tank in my house is literally like a dream. So this isn't actually my dream reef tank. It's pretty close. Only about $20,000 short, but yeah, this tank. So my front door is right here. Let me show you what it's like walking through. All right, so I walk in through my front door of my house. Here's my living room. This is the very first thing I see when I walk in. It's impossible to miss it. I love it. This is how I come home from work. This is how I come home from an outing or from even just working out in the yard. I walk into this, and I tell you, it couldn't have been planned or positioned any better. So there's something about this tank, something about the opportunity of just being able to put this in your own living room that you just appreciate so much. Keeping live pets and live animals is cool. People love it. People love keeping dogs. They love keeping cats. They love keeping hamsters. People even love keeping fish. But this is like a whole other level. This is like expert pet keepers united. Hashtag worth it. This is there's those of you who have reef tanks already, you know what this is like. So there's ups and downs, but mostly I want to touch on the ups in this video. And I want to just start by saying most pets, you can't get them to change colors. It's an interesting thought. Most pets don't change colors, but these do. So if you have coral in a tank and you have low lighting and very high nutrients, your coral will most likely turn brown, or they might bleach out just and completely die. But if you're able to get your nutrients down to a manageable, healthy level, I'm going to just throw out a range for a couple numbers or a couple different categories. I would say nitrates would be good in anywhere from 5 parts per million up to 15, maybe 20 parts per million. Phosphates 0.03 to 0.06. Alkalinity 8 to 11. Calcium 400 to 475. Magnesium 1320 to 1420. So in salinity 1.024 to 1.026, or 34 to 35 parts per trillion, or is it parts per billion? I can never remember that one. So those are just some rough numbers. So if you can keep your tank stable within those parameters, you start to see colors like this. You start to notice that your coral aren't just brown. So every coral is capable of being brown and faded and pale. Every coral can get there, except some of the non-photosynthetic corals. Like this one, way in the back middle there. It's gonna get blurry, sorry. But that one is a non-photosynthetic coral. It's a carnation coral. But so going back to every pet, uh, almost every pet cannot change colors. These pets can. And why do I call them pets? Because they're actually living animals. Most of you guys know that too. Most of you know that coral are actually living animals. That's what blows my mind. I'm literally boggled every time I really truly let my mind go there and think about it. And I get so distracted sometimes. These are just so amazing. And there's something about being able to take care of these pets so well and do such a good job that you actually get rewarded more than if you just took care of them just to survive. So these pets actually encourage you to take better care of them so that you can have better results and you both can be more happy. The coral in my tank, 99% of them are very happy right now. 99% of me is very happy. My wife is unhappy. Sorry, just kidding. My wife is very happy, but when it comes to the tank, she does a really good job at hiding her happiness and her joy sometimes. Sometimes she's just ecstatic, but so I just wanted to touch on that first. That's one of the best parts of having a coral reef tank, saltwater coral reef tank, is the better and the more and the better that you take care of it, the better results you get. And everything is truly dependent upon what you put into it is what you get out of it. So if you're having a tank and you're struggling, let me touch on two things because it made me think of something. But if you have a tank and you're struggling, let me ask you, are you putting in work? Are you putting in effort? Have you been doing research? Have you been studying? And have you been making slow, steady, and consistent changes if that's what you need? Or are you keeping things very consistent? Water change schedule, changing carbon, changing GFO if you're doing that. What does your tank maintenance and habits look like? How well are you actually taking care of it? What are you doing to help your tank? Now, the second part I wanted to touch on with that is I know some of you guys, and I'm sorry if this is you, I know that some of you are spending so much time, so much energy on this, and you just can't figure out why you're not seeing some of the results. Why stuff like this happens to you. A dead coral. The other side of it's alive, but that side's dead. And so if that's you, I just want to start by saying truly I'm sorry. Truly I am sorry. And there's always an answer. There's always an explanation. Sometimes it's hidden. Sometimes it's very difficult to figure it out and to understand. Sometimes it can be a very simple, easy fix. So one of the things I always ask people is when you're testing your water parameters and you're checking your water parameters in your tank, are you using reliable test kits? Are you using stuff that actually is reliable? Some people have told me I use the API water checkers, and I'm sorry, you guys, API does not make reliable testing stuff that's accurate and consistent. Salifert is about as low of quality as I'll go when it comes to really wanting to know truthful numbers on this tank. There's a few Salifert tests that I'll use and a few that I won't. I trust the alkalinity, calcium, magnesium, and that's about it when it comes to Salifert for me. I know some of you have had better results, and that's good. Every tank and every reefer situation is a little bit different, but Hanna checkers are pretty reliable. There's a few Red Sea checkers. Otherwise, sending in water samples to ICP. That's going to be your most reliable thing. I was doing water checks, but you can't check everything unless you buy 100 different tests. So sometimes you just got to send in a water sample, and you got to just spend the 50 bucks, 40, 50 bucks to do it, whichever option you choose to do. And boy, it was so worth it for me. I'm so glad I decided to do it. Iodine was another, I believe, trace element that was off. I started dosing it, and I started seeing more pinks, purples, and reds stand out. So check your test kits. Make sure that they're accurate. Number one. Number two is, are you actually keeping your tank stable? Is it actually stable? Or are there swings daily? And are you just making assumptions? Are you assuming things with your tank? If you're always doing stuff, always adding something or dosing something, or taking water in, taking water out, are you making sure that what you do is consistent, and that you're replacing or replenishing whatever it is that you take out? Because if you're not, it's going to throw your numbers off. I know that even when you dose certain things, it can cause rises and falls in alkalinity levels. When you're skimming heavy, most of what you skim is just regular water. The salinity still stays in. So I know if I skim out a whole cup of crap within 2 days or so, I just took out about a half gallon of fresh water from my tank. It's not very fresh, but it's not very salty either. So I have to actually take out a little bit of salt water from the tank and then let it replenish with RO water. So there's a lot of different little things. That's why experience counts for a lot here, you guys. And that's why it's really helpful to know what you're doing. Have that research ahead of time, have it done ahead of time, and know what you're doing. All right, so I think I made the point there. The last thing I want to touch on is how much I appreciate being able to network with people like you, people that have been friendly, kind, have bought coral from me, wanted to trade coral, just gave me tips, critiqued my YouTube. I've learned so much. In fact, I'll say this: the character of who I am as a person has increased just because of this hobby alone. Because of the hobby, because of the YouTube channel, like my character and my discipline as a person has grown and increased. So I love the fact that there's a community and a network of reefers out there. And one of my next videos, I've been wanting to do this for a while as a way to help give back more. I want to make a video talking about the top 5 or so YouTube channels that I've looked at that have been the most helpful in my reef tank experience. So a lot of them are probably channels that you might already know. But I still want to put that information out there as a reminder, or maybe you haven't heard of some of them. So I think most of us have heard of Bulk Reef Supply, so I'll probably at least mention them. So some of the bigger ones we know, but there's a few YouTubers out there like Fish of Hex. Maybe a lot of you guys know about him. His channel's definitely grown over the last 2 or 3 years, but Fish of Hex is, man, that dude has some awesome experience and lessons to share with all of us, especially if you're willing to take the time to watch the videos and listen. And the guy's pretty honest. He's very real. I kind of look up to him in a lot of ways. But just as an example, there's a lot of cool learning, a lot of cool research to be done. So we'll get more into that in one of these next videos. I'm looking forward to doing it. And it's also a way for me to say thank you to these guys and that have made these videos and have put up this helpful information. It's a way for me to say thank you for helping teach me along the way. So, but yeah, guys, that pretty much does it. Again, to summarize that last one, it's the people that are involved in the hobby. It's the people in the community I love watching a good reef builder's video where he goes snorkeling, and Coral Fish 12G too, where they go snorkeling, and man, they just have some of the greatest shots. They put so much work and so much effort into making some good videos, putting out some good material for you and I to just enjoy and learn from. So it's such a cool hobby, so many cool people, and I really value it. I value you guys. Thanks again for subscribing. If you like these videos, please consider subscribing, sharing them with a friend or someone, and look forward to seeing you guys soon. Aquatic Bob's out.